The colony settlement on Veyra was small, just a scattering of human-built domes on the edge of a turquoise forest. Most settlers came here to farm, to mine, or to hide from the noise of the core worlds. But Dr. Elias Kade had come for something else. He had come to heal. Elias was a cyberneticist, once attached to Earth's military hospitals, where broken soldiers cycled in and out of his care. After years of mending shattered bodies and seeing too many young faces fitted with cold steel, he had resigned. Out here, on the frontier, he thought he might find peace. He hadn't expected the Veyrathi. They were insectoid, slender, multi-limbed, their carapaces shimmering in shifting hues. The humans had called them mantis folk at first, until translators made their names known. Despite their alienness, Elias found them gentle. They lived in vast hives beneath the forests, reclusive but curious about the humans who tilled the surface. One morning, as Elias was calibrating a neural mesh in his workshop, the door chimed urgently. He opened it to find a Veyrathi adult standing there, clutching a child. The young one's lower limb was gone, shorn at the joint, the wound sealed crudely with resin. The child's clicking cries cut through Elias like knives. "Help!" the adult rasped in broken English. "Child cannot walk. Please." Elias felt the familiar pull, the old duty he had tried to leave behind. He nodded. "Bring them inside." The child's name was Sarah. She clung to her caretaker's thorax, her mandibles trembling as Elias scanned her wound. "Accident?" he asked. The caretaker's antennae drooped. "Harvest cutters."
Machine did not stop in time.
"She a lost limb. Hive has no replacement." Elias studied the small, trembling form. The Veyrathi healed fast, but regrowth was impossible for lost limbs. Without aid, the child would limp for life. But Elias had tools. He had knowledge. And for the first time in months, he felt purpose ignite in his chest. "I can help her," he said. "It won't be easy, but I can craft something." The caretaker's multifaceted eyes glittered with hope. Work consumed him for days. He scavenged alloys from old cargo crates, stripped servos from mining drones, and built a frame light enough for the child to carry yet strong enough to mimic her natural limb. The challenge was adapting human Neuralink tech to Veyrathi biology. Their nervous systems ran on bioelectric pulses, not the chemical signals humans were used to. Elias studied their patterns late into the night, until his vision blurred. He mapped them, coded translations, and etched circuits thin as hair. Slowly, the prosthetic took shape, a limb of silver struts, flexible joints, and a socket tailored to Sarah's wound. When at last he fitted it to her, the workshop fell silent. Sarah twitched, antennae quivering. The limb jerked once, twice, then moved. She took a hesitant step, stumbled, and then tried again. Her mandibles opened in a sound Elias had never heard before, a trilling laugh. She walked. The caretaker lowered their head to Elias. "You gave her future." Elias only smiled faintly, wiping exhaustion from his brow. "She deserves to run, like any child." The news spread faster than Elias expected. By evening, Veyrathi gathered outside his dome, their wings rustling in excitement. They bowed their heads as Sarah walked proudly among them, her prosthetic gleaming in the setting suns. Then came the unthinkable. A procession entered the settlement. Dozens of Veyrathi guards, their carapaces polished, their halberds gleaming. At their center walked a figure taller than any other, draped in woven silks that shimmered like living light. The queen of the Veyrathi hive had come. Humans dropped tools and stared. No queen had ever left the hive before. Yet here she was, striding toward Elias's modest workshop. Elias stood frozen as she approached, her multifaceted eyes like black mirrors. "You are the one," she said, her translator humming. "The human who gave back a child's step." Elias inclined his head carefully. "I did what I could." The queen's antennae swayed, considering him. "Our kind has lived with loss for generations. Limbs taken in war, in labor, in accident. We endure. But you defied loss itself."
Why?
Elias hesitated, memories of battlefield hospitals flashing in his mind. "Because no child should suffer for the failings of tools. Because I had the means to help, and to look away would have been wrong." The queen tilted her head. "Compassion. This is what your species claims as strength." "It's not just compassion," Elias said quietly. "It's responsibility. If we can mend what is broken, we should." The queen considered him for a long time, her gaze unreadable. Then she extended one of her own limbs, an elegant, jointed arm, and revealed scars etched deep into the carapace. "I was wounded in war," she said. "This limb weakens with each season. I have ruled in endurance, but I feel my strength waning. Could your craft restore me, as you restored the child?" Gasps rippled through both humans and Veyrathi alike. To touch the queen, to alter her body, it was unthinkable. Elias's pulse quickened. "I can try," he said softly, "but it would require time, materials, and your trust." The queen's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. "You have both." Weeks turned into months. Elias worked alongside Veyrathi artisans, adapting his designs on a grander scale. The queen visited often, her presence both daunting and oddly comforting. She spoke of her people's history, of the wars that had scarred them, of the burden of leading a hive that had learned only to endure, never to heal. In turn, Elias told her of humanity's struggles, of soldiers he had mended, of children who had walked again because of stubborn human ingenuity. Slowly, a bond formed, not of ruler and servant, but of equals bound by shared purpose. When at last the prosthetic was complete, a limb of alloy and living resin, sleek and strong, the fitting was performed in the great hall of the hive itself. The queen stood before thousands, her damaged limb replaced by Elias's creation. She flexed it once, twice, then raised it high. The hall erupted in thunderous trills and wing beats. "You have given more than a limb," she declared, her voice carrying. "You have given us a future unshackled by loss. From this day, the Veyrathi do not endure broken. We rise renewed." Her gaze found Elias in the crowd, and it was a human who showed us the way. From then on, Elias was no longer just a settler in a forgotten colony. He became the bridge mender, honored guest of the hive. Together, humans and Veyrathi shared knowledge, crafting a future where no child limped, no worker was cast aside, no queen bore wounds in silence. Elias often thought back to that first day, the frightened child with a missing limb, and the desperate plea for help. He had answered because he could not do otherwise. And in doing so, he had changed not just one life, but the fate of an entire people. It was simple, really. Human hands had built machines of war, machines of profit, machines of destruction. But those same hands, guided by compassion, could also build something far greater. They could build hope. And sometimes hope was enough to move queens.